It's really an honor to share this moment with all of you. The work that has to be done is a work that no one person can do, quite honestly, no particular party can do, but it's the work of people with the right heart and right mind. So my assignment, as I understand it this afternoon, is to share some thoughts of encouragement and perhaps challenge those who are in these hallowed halls to remember the people who have chosen them, elected them to be our governors. Anytime people take, please, why don't you, those seats are for you. Are you sure? Okay. Anytime people take time out of their schedules to pray for others, I believe it gets God's attention. Gathering in the beginning of the new year like this to pray for the welfare of our state and the wisdom for our elected officials is only right and proper. As been referenced already, we're living in rather peculiar and complex times for our state and really our nation. I mean, if you don't really see what's going on and you're not troubled by what you hear, see, and read, then you're probably not paying attention, because the thousands of men and women and children and families who are homeless and those seeking shelter on a very deadly, frigid day like today, to the economy that has disproportionately affected or impacted the poor, the shamefully low unemployment and underemployment rates among many of our citizens, to the embarrassing political drama being acted out on Capitol Hill. Not to mention the dismal state of our education of our children. Although it is improving, we've got a long way to go. The tens of thousands of hurting people, the elderly, youth, domestic violence, just to mention a few of the challenges that we're facing. It demands our action and requires our engagement, and requires it now. And in view of these challenging opportunities, we should be conscious also of the fact that only a few months ago, we recognized the 50th anniversary of the March on Washington and the late prophet, Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. The 100th anniversary or birthday of the late heroine Rosa Parks, and the passing of none other than the President Nelson Mandela. These are legendary figures that are still teaching us and speaking to us. What did these individuals have in common? I'm sure many things, but two words come to mind for me. It's consecrated ambition. What I mean by that is that inner conviction that serves as a driving force for honorable and noble acts, I dare say even for holy purposes. Tragically, throughout the annals of Rhode Island political history, they're replete with biographies of those elected leaders who have lost their way once they were appointed and sworn into office. Although their original intention may have been to do good for the people, at some point, and for some reason, they became politically marginalized, corrupted in some cases, and many times simply dismayed. Tragically, in several cases, their true ambitions surfaced, which was to be powerful, rather than to utilize their office to empower others. It would appear that their goals were ego-driven, self-centered, and politically motivated. But in keeping with part of my assignment, I must ask a few questions. Whatever happened to the servant of the people, the person that saw governing as a humbling responsibility rather than a career to which to aspire for self-aggrandizement? Or worse, to look for an office that could be bought by simply outspending the opposition. As one former president said, the purpose of government is to enable the people of a nation to live in safety and happiness. Government exists for the interests of the governed, not for the governors. In the day and time in which we live, there is a moral imperative for our elected officials to govern with compassion, conviction, courage, and competence. And thankfully, many are in this room right now who are in fact doing that and have done that. But we need actually more political martyrs, those who are willing to sacrifice their career, if necessary, to do what's right, rather than to do what's politically expedient. Actually, instead of receiving congratulatory messages, you should also receive condolence cards. Cards that say, sorry for your loss. What loss, you ask? It's the loss of not doing your own will any longer. Yes. It's the loss of not doing the political will of your party. It's the loss of not doing the particular will of your cultural heritage. See, doing things legislatively that will lift the impoverished, empower the disempowered, and care for the hurting really is the order of the day. We heard some of that this afternoon from those who are sitting in the offices today. But I must ask another question. Are you willing to do or say the thing that might cost you another election? Where are the women and men who would rather lose an election than to employ unethical tactics to win or retain their political seat? Where are the visionaries, those that can see past the 2 and 4 and 6-year terms of office, who have the strength of conscience to architect legislation that will benefit our grand and great-grandchildren? We hope that they're in the chambers this session. Some are here in this assembly this afternoon, I'm sure of that. Where are the legislators, the would-be governors and leaders that upon waking each morning feel the crushing weight of the responsibility to which they have been elected? What happened to the servant leaders who, after the state revenues are processed and the political gurus have spoken, still sense another direction is in order because of the negative impact certain cuts will have on the poor, the disenfranchised, and the marginalized? We long for a day, I think that day existed some time ago, but we long for the return of the day where men and women who are now our representatives would not fear political retribution for being vocal about their faith, pausing to pray to God about their decisions, and doing so in their offices without apology. Where are those who see the hurting as people and not as political talking points to garner the vote? Where are those who are willing to forego re-election rather than to pander to the political machines that claim ownership of their careers? Where are those that realize that not all children have enough food to eat and a bed to sleep in? I often think of my 2 daughters who are both students now at Johnson & Wales, and the very fact that they enjoy the comfort of knowing that they have a dorm room and they have a bedroom. Most children don't seem to have that. Where are those who realize a state is comprised of many different people groups with various needs, few more important than education, housing, employment, and are willing to fight till all have education, adequate housing, and employment that pays a living wage? Don't worry, I'm almost done.
Nah, you ain't done, Pastor, you ain't done.
Where are those persons who see justice as a moral right rather than an ideal for a select few? Shouldn't there be justice for all and not just a few? The late President Nelson Mandela said, "Overcoming poverty is not a task of charity, it is an act of justice." Like slavery and apartheid, poverty is not natural. It is man-made and can be overcome and eradicated by the actions of human beings. Sometimes it falls on the generation to be great, the president said. You can be that great generation. Let your greatness blossom. There is a loss of consecrated ambition among some who hold the office. The fact is, we have no right to lead people over which we have not wept, for whom we have not attempted to empathize with. Doing the right thing doesn't always make financial sense initially. As I said to one political officer, before you make any more cuts, please at least get a tear in your eye first. May your heart break over what breaks God's heart, and may that compassion be ever present with you on every decision every committee meeting, every vote, in every debate. May you feel the weight of every decision. May you have visions of the people that will be impacted by your yays and by your nays. May you, with every opening prayer, recognize the poor, the homeless, the disenfranchised, their need for your help. You can do great things this year. May you only find rest in His will. May you have the courage and strength of character to commit political martyrdom if necessary, to do what's right in the sight of God and for the people that you are serving. Let me leave you with this reading from the New Testament. For I was hungry and you gave me food. I was thirsty and you gave me something to drink. I was a stranger and you brought me together with yourselves and welcomed and entertained and lodged me. I was naked and you clothed me. I was sick and you visited me, gave me help and ministered care. I was in prison and you came to see me. Then the just and the upright will answer him and say, Lord, when did we see you hungry and gave you food, or thirsty and gave you something to drink? And when did we see you a stranger and welcomed and entertained you, or naked and clothed you? When did we see you sick or in prison and came to visit you? And the king will reply to them, truly, I tell you, insofar as you did it for the one of the least of these my brethren, you did it for me. May God help us in this year.